Hi, Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm going to demonstrate this card. This card is made with the Lovely Friends bundle and the Bird Banter stamp set from the Occasions catalog. What I've done is I've created a card that is a pop-up in the middle, and inside you can see that I've put all the little birds sitting on the tree in a tropical setting. The problem is that when I made this card, the paper that I used right here is a retired item. So the challenge for me this afternoon is to pick out some stamp sets and actually recreate that background for our card. Something that you could very easily create at home. So what I have in front of me are the Lovely Friends stamp set and bundle. We're going to use this Good Friends Are Hard to Come By, and that takes this great big F block for my front. And I'm going to use my Big Shot because I'm going to pull out these laurels here that I'm going to use to cut out my our pop-up branch. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside, and then what I've done is I have already stamped and cut all the little birds that I'm going to use with our card today from the Bird Banter stamp set. And there's a parrot, there are little parakeets, there's a toucan, and we've got the little parakeets that go both ways. And I believe I have in my little stack here, I should have, and yes I do have my little cockatiel. So these are the birds that we're going to put in our tree, along with this little sentiment that says, "You're the kind of friend I'd share my branch with." So I've already done all these in advance, and I'm going to put these aside so we can put them in our tree, because really what I want to focus on today is how we're going to stamp our background paper. So speaking of paper, what the cardstock that this card will take is going to be, I'm going to use some Calypso Coral as our base card, and you know this is 5.5 by let me find my little here's my little guide. This is a 5.5 by 4.25 card. Okay, and we need a front piece that we're going to stamp our sentiment on, and this is going to be 5.5 by 4 in Whisper White. Then I'm going to need some Old Olive, which we're going to cut our little branch that's going to open up in the middle. So I'm going to need that, and I'm going to use these pieces right here to cut that out. And then finally, as I put this aside to use with my Big Shot, I'm going to stamp our background. And our background piece is actually 8 by 5, and it's just Whisper White. So we're going to set this down here, and I'm going to grab some background paper, put this here, because I'm going to use this to ensure that I can stamp all the way around my my card piece. Now this is my my design, or rather my inspiration for creating my background piece. As you can see, I've been practicing, and what I want to do is I want to start out with a number of leaf shapes that are rather tropical. So I went through all my stamp sets that I have, and here are the stamp sets that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using this little leaf from the Fabulous Flamingo. I'm going to be using this fern from Butterfly Basics. And I love the Pop of Paradise, this great big leaf, and then this nice leaf right here from Pop of Paradise. And I'm going to be using some of the texture from the Celebrations Eclectic Expressions as some background pieces for my card. So I'm going to put those aside for now. And I'm just going to have this here as my inspiration, and then let's get started. So the colors I'm pulling off from this piece here are going to be Pear Pizzazz, Old Olive, Crushed Curry, Cajun Craze, and some Soft Sky. So I want to start, and I have my stamps lined up here from large to kind of from bold to not so bold. And here's my fern and my two different leaf sets, my little palm leaf, and then my little texture. So I'm kind of going from this direction, so I'm going to start out with my boldest design first. So I'm going to kind of line these up over here in front of me. And with my boldest design, I want to kind of prepare and do my background. If you notice, this has a lot of the green that's just kind of stamped in the background with the lighter color, and I'm going to do that first, and I'm also going to do the stamp off. So I'm going to kind of start off on my edges. I'm going to kind of move this around. Okay, so that's a nice frame, and I have my cleaner right here. So now that I've done that color, I'm going to shift over to my Old Olive, and I'm going to take my next size, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in between some of those spaces there. I'm also going to try to make sure I get some of these pieces off my image as well. And I think I'm going to do it this way, like that, okay? So I'm kind of beginning to fill in around the around my image. So now let's go to my next size, and with this size I think I'm going to go ahead, moving down my color scale, I'm going to go to my Crushed Curry, and I'm going to take my Crushed Curry and I'm going to go ahead and add some and I may not want to put as many of these because I also want to go and use a little bit of my Cajun Craze, and I do kind of like the shape of this leaf, so I'm going to go back and I'm just going to kind of use some of that leaf kind of in some of these lighter areas, kind of coming into my composition. Okay, so now I have my Cajun Craze, and I'm going to use my next smallest piece, and I'm just going to kind of add some and make sure that I do get something off the edge. I always want to get a little bit of that color off the edge there. And I have this gap here, so I'm not really sure what I want to add, so I'm just going to stop and kind of look at this for a minute. And I think what I want to do is I want to take this, my nice dark color, and I'm going to plop another one of these leaves right there. And I think that kind of fills in my entire composition. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy with that. So finally, for my last piece, remember I have this, I have soft sky, and I have this little textured piece. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill in this white space in between with this soft sky, and just kind of dapple it so that it kind of completes our composition. So there you go. That's really not bad. I'm rather happy with it. So again, the colors were soft sky, crushed curry, Cajun craze, old olive, and pear pizzazz. And I have to say that that actually turned out rather well. In fact, when I put this together like this, I really don't see much of a difference. It flows really well. So there you go. You can recreate DSP using the same colors. Again, what a sentiment, or what an acclamation to Stampin' Up! On how great their colors and their stamps are. All right, so having said that, we're going to go ahead and put all this aside, because or rather, I'm going to pull this piece out, because what I want to do now is I want to stamp the exterior of my card, and I'm going to use my old olive. So, now you should see my desk. It's an absolute disaster. Okay, so here is my my card front. We're going to stamp it with old olive, and this is so big that I've got to just basically lay this down and do this. Because it's photopolymer, I want to use my stamping piercing mat. So let's just lay that there, and okay, that's beautiful. Very happy with how that came out. And now I'm going to use my pear pizzazz and one of my smaller stamp sets, because we're just going to stamp. Okay, and you see where I'm going with this. We just kind of want to, we don't want to take over, we just kind of want to add to it enough so that we have most of the colors represented, but they don't have to be all the colors. And I kind of like just going to kind of add this right here. And I think that's really all I need to do. Maybe there. Okay, so I've created that. Now I want to add a little bit of my soft sky, and we're just going to kind of go along the border here to frame our there you go. So you can see that now this and this complement each other very well. So let's go ahead and close up our ink pads. I have to bring my Big Shot into frame, and we're going to pull in our paper and the these are the two pieces that we're going to cut with our old olive. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that there, and then we're going to just run this through. And let's make sure that we have a nice cut. Okay, I ran it through again, and I used my my precision base plate, which probably is what I should have used in the first place. Yeah, because look how easy this is coming out now. There you go. All right, so use your precision base plate. Don't use your magnetic base plate. This is a precision die. What was I thinking? Okay? So I'm going to clean that up, and to add a little bit more interest, what I want to do is I want to grab a little sponge bobber here. And I do have one that's very green, and I'm going to pull Pear Pizzazz, and we're just going to sponge around the edges of our leaves. Okay, just to kind of give it a little bit more dimension, because remember, this is going to have to go on our designer series paper that we just created. So we want to make sure we have okay, so there you go. There's our branch, or it's actually supposed to be a laurel. So let me put those away. So the next thing that we have to do, and let me open this card so I can show you, is we're going to put this together, but it's going to have to ride on the seam of our card. So let me clean my fingers here to make sure I don't goon this up. I have this is 5 by 8, so I want to score this at I believe I want to score it at 4, and yeah, I want to score this at 4. Okay, so score this at 4. Okay, so I'm just going to crease that nicely there, okay, because that's going to go inside my base card, which is this. Okay, oh, that is so pretty. I really like how that came out. So I am going to put this inside my base card, and the reason why is because I just want to make sure that when I put my laurels in, that I don't put them in to where they're going to pop out. So the way I want to adhere this to my base card is I'm going to use tear tape. And I'm going to fold this across, and I'm going to use my bone folder, and I'm just going to seal that up like that. So there's the inside of my card. So now that I have the inside of my card inside my card base, now we're going to put in our laurel. Now, I've made this a couple of times before, but one of the keys is that this tab right here, let's see, we have a little indentation right here. Hope you can see that, where we're going to bend that back, and a little indentation where we're going to bend that back, and then these are going to go so that they're going to interlock so that both these tabs are looking at me like this. Okay, and the way we want this is we want these tabs to be perfectly parallel, like that, because that is how they're going to get put in here, because each side is going to go, each edge of this tab is going to go along this edge and that edge. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to use tear tape. And I'm going to make sure my tear tape fits the shape of my tab. All right. So let me move this in so you can see how I'm going to put this on this piece, because this is the tricky part. Okay, so these go in like this. And we're going to I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to put a line right there so I can see where I'm lining up these tabs. And I'm all thumbs this afternoon for some reason, but there's my line right there, and I need each each one of these tabs to go on the other, on either side of my line. So like I said, this is kind of tricky. Okay, so they're straight up and down. Do you see that? Straight up and down, my little fold. Now I'm just simply going to go down and I'm going to place either one of these on either side. And there you go. It's on. Look, it folds. See that? Let me back out. So I just kind of held each one of them is right on either side of my little fold. I just held them and laid it down, and voila. Now it's high enough, okay, so that when it folds, it's going to fold within your card, okay? So you'd think that you'd want to put it farther down here, but if you did that, it's going to fold outside of your card. And it's okay that it kind of opens up inside your card, and it's really in there because of that tear tape. So that's a good thing. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to take our little birds, and we're going to take our little sentiment here, and I'm going to take that sponge again, and I'm just going to go around the edge of my little cloud here. And the puncher framelit I used will be in my blog. And then put this down right here flat, okay? Because anything up is going to mess up how your card opens, okay? So now we can decorate with our little birds. And what I'm going to use for my little birds are going to be my lovely, lovely, lovely little glue dots. And let's look at how I laid out my birds on this card. So here, I kind of went big, big, small, small. So I want to do the same thing here. I want to go, big, and where's my, and big, big, and then small, small. So let me go ahead and grab a glue dot. And I want to make sure that I get it on my leaf. So I kind of want him right there. So I'm going to put my glue dot right here on this leaf. And instead of putting it on my figure, I'm putting my glue dots on my leaf so that I can make sure that my bird isn't going to glue the back of my piece there. Here's my big bird here. He can stick out a little bit, so I'm going to take advantage of this big piece right there, and I'm going to put a glue dot. And maybe I'll put 2 glue dots. And if it's off the edge, which this one is kind of off the edge of my leaf, I'm just going to take my X-Acto and kind of roll it back onto my leaf. And put my toucan right there. Okay. And then I have my 2 little parrots. And I have 1 parrot this way and 1 parrot that way. So I'm going to put a little parrot down on this leaf down here. So we're going to just put a glue dot on it. And make sure our glue dot is not slipping behind. And I colored my little birds with my stamping blends. And let's see, we're going to put a glue dot right there. And put a bird right there. Okay. So there's our pop-up with our birds. And look how nice our paper looks. So the next thing that we want to do is I want to embellish it a little bit with these really neat, I love these things, these sequins, which are really going to add a pop of color. So I have a Calypso coral, and I can just add, and again I just want to make sure, so I'm going to add these kind of on the exterior of around the border of my card, because again I don't want them to bother the way my card closes and opens. There we go. So that's the inside of our card. So I'm just going to close that, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my outside and we're going to grab another little bird. And I think what I'm going to do is, once again, where's my little sponge? We're going to sponge this a little bit right here. And there's already enough ink on this because I've used it so much that I really don't need to put any more. And it's basically kind of smudgy. It's perfectly smudgy. Just the right amount of smudge. Okay, so that looks really good right there. I really like this parrot, but I think he might be too long for that. So I may have to go and dig into my little box of birds. And I just did a bunch of birds, colored them and cut them. And that is perfect. Like, look at him, he's perfect. In fact, I could take some more of this and just kind of do it around this corner a little bit more. So I'm darkening the corner a little bit. Because now I can pop this little bird up on a dimensional. And he's going to look perfect. And I love these little mini dimensionals because they go great on the little tail and on the little head. And these are just so easy to cut out. Now, I have a Brother Scan and Cut, and I love any kind of stamp that is just black and white because it's just very easy to cut out. So I just sit down and I cut out a whole bunch of them to use for making cards if I don't have framelits and die cuts. Okay, so this is done. So I'm just going to put this on with some Tombow glue because it's right here. And there we go. Good friends are hard to find. You're the kind of friend I'd share my branch with. Very well done. Everything is in there nice and tight. You can always kind of take your bone folder and just kind of press that down into your card. And that is just perfect. Wow. So, here you go, a nice pop-up card using our Lovely Friends bundle and our really, really cool Bird Banter stamp set that can create this really nice effect. This paper was part of the Botanical Gardens DSP. I have an old sheet right here when I put this card together, and here I demonstrated how you could recreate this same pattern using stamp sets that are currently in the catalog, and just maybe what you have on your crafting table to create this really neat design that looks about the same. I really enjoyed putting this together. I hope that you enjoyed looking at the process, the techniques, and had a lot of fun with watching me put this together. All the products that I used will be on my blog at stampartconnection.com. So please go to there for all the information. While you're there, you can download my handy dandy proportional matting card that is under the free stuff. You can look at some of the other free stuff. Please subscribe to both my YouTube and my newsletter. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you will be able to get some special items and special promotions. So, Kat Chancellor, Stamp Art Connection, happy stamping.